Shabbat Shalom, friends. We are excited. I'm excited. I hope you're excited. Whether you're here, whether you're there, wherever you're listening from or tuning in from, or just here from, we're glad to celebrate Shabbat with you. We have a wonderful service lined up today. We don't just have our amazing cantorial intern, Sarah, but Sarah's actually imported. Okay, she's imported talent just for us this evening. Her classmate from the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music. Say that 7 times fast, and I will give you a prize. Her classmate Sam is joining us. We're going to produce some beautiful, beautiful music. We're going to have some wonderful prayers. We're going to have some wonderful dialogue and some inspiration. I'm glad that you're here for it, because that makes it as meaningful as it can possibly be. So we're going to begin this evening, with a special song, Zamru Ladonai. You can find it on page 16 in your prayer books.
Zamru Ladonai, Zamru Ladonai Bechinor, Zamru Ladonai Bechinor Vekol Zimra.
So beautiful. Thank you. It's not every Shabbat you get a duet concerto to open up Shabbat services. So thank you so much, Sam. And I know we're going to be hearing a little bit more from you later on. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to turn now to our candle lighting, which you can find on page 2 in your Siddur. We're going to invite your mom. She's not the only mom here, actually, because my mom is here. She's not here. She's here. She's watching from home, which she does religiously every week. So it's nice to see you from one mother to another. Joyce, we're so glad to have you light our candles this evening.
Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik להדליק נר של השבת.
We'll continue by welcoming the Shabbat bride. Lecha Dodi can be found in our Siddurim on page 20. Please rise. We continue with our call to worship. The Baruch Hu can be found on page 28 in your Siduri. We continue with the watchword of our faith, the Shema, on page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai
Please be seated. We'll mention this again because the Shema actually occurs in this week's Parsha, Va'et Hanan. We hear Moses giving this command to the Israelites. Listen, Israel, Adonai is our God. Adonai is one. That last part is subject to interpretation. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But our next prayer this evening, also from the Tanakh, but from a little bit earlier portion, the Song of the Sea, as sung by Moses. A lot of times we associate it with his sister Dvorah, but according to the Tanakh, it's Moses who sings the Song of the Sea.
And Miriam.
Why did I say Dvorah? Oh, I told you, 40. The memory goes, it's just...
That's why I'm here.
I appreciate it. Anyway, Moses' Song of the Sea, I think we can give Miriam credit for it too. We'll continue on page 40. down to page 42 for the Hashki Venu, a prayer that asks God to bring over us a shelter of peace. I can think of nothing more poignant right now as we sit in the middle of this. Is my vaccine enough? Is it not enough? What do I have to do? Can we get more people to vaccinate? Maybe. I think we could use just think of it like a big face mask on all of us that we're praying for, but one that maybe is a little more breathable, I think. And we got you back again, Sam, so looking forward.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom.
Amideinu shomreinu lechayim.
Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu
Hashkivenu
Adonai Eloheinu.
Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu.
Peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Thank you so much. We're going to continue with our prayer for healing. If you want to start looking for it, it can be found on page 253 in your Sidurim. I want you to imagine for a second you could package a prayer and have it arrive at somebody's doorstep. Like, imagine what it would feel like when you're feeling down, when you're feeling sick, when you just feel like there's nobody there for you, that you just, something rings on the door, you go out and you open it up, and there is a prayer for you from someone you love. Now, I think that probably takes 2 steps. It probably takes thinking about them right now, and then as soon as we're done with this service, it takes picking that phone up and giving them a call and letting them know that you're thinking about them, that they're on your mind, that they're in your hearts and in your prayers. And if we do that, I think we can deliver that prayer right to their door. Misha Berach, page 253.
Misha Berach Avo מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu, makor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
People often talk about prayer as a journey. But if we're going somewhere, then we have to start off here and now, which means that we have to find a way to be here and now. And so as we turn to our silent Amidah, as we turn to our personal time with God, let's start by taking a moment to just make sure that we're here. We're not with our worries and concerns. We're not with the week that passed. We're not with the services. We're not with the joys either. We're just here with one another. And we're going on the same journey. I invite you to rise and take a few moments for whatever prayer, whatever journey you need to go on. Our silent Amidah begins on page 46. When you finish, please feel free to be seated. She might have a career in this. I'm just saying. When crisis hits, we often look for a strong, uncompromising vision that paves the way toward recovery. But that's not what the citizens of New York State received from their governor. I don't know, it was kind of nice. It's kind of nice mood music. Although this is sort of it's a dour story. It's okay, don't worry about it. It's okay, I love it. But this is more of like, this is more like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? That's right, that's exactly what we needed. That's not what the citizens of New York State received from their governor. In an early speech in the spring, as the nation and the state faced an unprecedented threat, he announced, "It's common sense to take a method and just try it. If it fails, admit it frankly and try another, but above all, we just need to try something." Not everyone was impressed with the governor's speech. The New York Times, among other news outlets, pilloried the governor, while his advisors publicly labeled his speech career suicide at a moment of crisis. The year was 1932. The crisis was the Great Depression, and the governor was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, whose open-minded approach to solving unprecedented unemployment resulted in a torrent of reforms that ultimately helped stave off economic disaster. While the citizens of New York may have wanted a strong, uncompromising vision, they got a man who, by admitting his ignorance and keeping his mind open to fresh ideas, guided the state and later the entire country to recovery. This week's Parsha Va'et Hanan, the Torah reminds us of the power of opening our minds to new possibilities and new ideas through Moses' timeless yet dynamic words. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Ultimately, this declaration becomes the mantra of Judaism, a prayer recited twice daily in our services, a tradition shared between parents and children before bedtime, an affirmation of our faith that we recite at the very moment before death. And yet, curiously, the words Shema Yisrael, listen up, Israel, remain part of our refrain. Each time we proclaim our people's understanding of God through the words of Shema, we also rehearse Moses' demand for the Israelites' attention. But why? And I'll tell you in a moment when I can separate these pages. Now, there's no way to know exactly what the words of the Shema meant to our ancestors when they were first recorded. In fact, our sages argue over whether or not the Shema was an expression of loyalty. Listen, Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai alone. Or superiority. Listen, Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai number one. Or monotheism. Listen, Israel, Adonai is our God, the only one. Or philosophy. Listen, Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one and indivisible. In fact, the Shema has likely meant all of these things to different Jews at different times. But regardless of what translation we prefer, any interpretation would have meant something drastically new and foreign to the Israelites, who before all of this were completely accustomed to the polytheist traditions of their neighbors. For our ancestors, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, was likely the equivalent of discovering that the world was round, or that cigarettes were bad for you, or that Pluto isn't even a planet anymore. I still haven't caught on to that one. It was mind-blowing, it was controversial, and it was, from what we can tell, not very popular. Over and over, the Torah cautions against worshiping idols. Over and over, the prophets scold our ancestors for their failure to embrace Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. I mean, they're clearly exasperated that people would refuse to even consider that the world might just work a little differently than they thought. So how did this controversial idea, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, survive even one suspicious generation, let alone 3 millennia, to become the creed of our faith? The magic is in those 2 words, Shema Yisrael, listen, Israel. Listening, not believing, represents the beginning of Jewish faith because it acknowledges just how little we really know. The purpose of listening isn't to affirm our beliefs, it's to evolve our beliefs. By questioning our current understanding, we become curious about information we may be missing. And this search, in turn, leads us to new discoveries. As author Adam Grant explains in his fantastic book, Think Again, if knowledge is power, knowing what we don't know is wisdom. Grant encourages us all to favor humility over pride, doubt over certainty, curiosity over closure. Because if we already think we've found the truth, then we'll never be able to see the gaps in our knowledge. Now, I honestly don't know what the California school system is like. I know what Y School is like. I know how I was raised. And there's a lot of time spent on teaching children to possess conviction and to fight for their beliefs. And this is an important lesson for all children. But how often do we teach our children, ourselves for that matter, that it's just as essential to be open to new ideas and new beliefs, and that sometimes it's okay to change our mind because we don't know everything. Grant's research, just like our tradition's most pivotal teaching and like the actions of FDR, posits a radical goal for us, one that we will need both as individuals and as a civilization to thrive in this century, just as we needed it during the Great Depression. It's not only possible, but essential that we balance our conviction with curiosity and confidence with humility, something we can only accomplish when we begin by listening. When we listen, we learn. And when we learn, anything is possible. May this be our blessing on this Shabbat. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel. And then we'll get the rest. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue with a prayer for the state of Israel, which we can find on page 259. And we'll do our prayer for our country immediately thereafter.
Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Golo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulateinu.
Heavenly One, protector and redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of a hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise and defend, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. And together we say, Amen.
Avinu Shebashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'Golo, Amen, Selah.
prayer for the United States of America. God and God of our ancestors, we ask you to bless this nation and its peoples. Open our arms and our hearts and our minds to one another. Let us never withhold your gift of dignity from our fellow human being. Grant us the determination to preserve the wonders of creation and the steadfastness to safeguard all created in your image, black and white, male and female alike. Teach us to honor the guardians of life and liberty, whether they proudly wear the uniform of our nation or defiantly wield signs of peaceful protest. Grant us the resolve to spurn the enemies of freedom and justice, whether they brandish the weapons of fear or greed or hatred. May we remember that we can only reap the seeds of virtue, of peace, and of love by sowing the seeds of virtue, of peace, and of love. Then justice shall roll down like water, and righteousness like a mighty stream. And together we say, Amen. We know that many of you join us for Shabbat for many different reasons. Some of us come here with our hearts burdened by sorrows or troubles. Some of us come here with our hearts lifted with joy. We want to share each, but as we proceed to our Kiddush, it is the time to share our joys. So I'm going to ask if any of you are celebrating a birthday this week, or maybe you've taken a good trip. No birthdays? Anniversaries? Any anniversaries? No first dates? No. Second dates? There we go. That's the right music for this point in time. Okay. And I don't want to pull a Yoshi. I'm not going to say a birthday for the last year. But if you have a cause to be happy, we're going to ask you to rise as we turn to our Kiddush, which you can find on page 4. If you have a simcha and you're tuning in from home, please share it on our feed, and we'll congratulate you. We're so glad you're going to celebrate it here with us tonight.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשי וראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא הקודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו מכל העמים בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
We continue with the Aleinu prayer, which can be found on page 282 in your Siduri.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא
Please be seated. It's a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be, and then to lose. A thing for fools is this, and yet it's a holy thing, a sacred thing to love. For the lives of our loved ones have lived in us. Their laughs once lifted us. Their words were gifts to us. And to remember this brings a painful joy, because it's a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched. If you are currently sitting Shiva, the first 7 days of mourning for the passing of a loved one, or if you're observing Shloshim, the first 30 days of passing for a loved one, or mourning for the loss of a parent in the first year, or if you're commemorating the Yortzeit, the anniversary of loved one's passing, we invite you to please rise. And we invite our entire Kehillah to please rise alongside our mourners as we recite Kaddish Yatom, page 294. 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, b'chaye chon v'yomei chon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen, yehe shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam o meomaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudisha b'richu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mroma, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We ask the source of peace to send peace to all who are bereaved, and comfort them wherever they may be. And together we say, Amen. Please be seated. You know, earlier this week, my daughter brought me a drawing. She's just getting into coloring. And she gets really excited about it. So every time she tears the paper, and every time she brings it to me, she says, Dada, it's broken. And I was thinking of a funeral that we had in the community earlier this week. And I turned to her and I said, you know, baby, everything's broken. We just don't always realize it. We're here because we're broken. But coming together makes us a little more whole. And coming together makes us a little more at peace, a little more shalom. So I hope that this Shabbat brings all of you a sense of shalom, a sense of peace, a sense of wholeness among the brokenness. For we must endure the brokenness, but we don't have to endure it alone. We are going to conclude our service with a prayer for that peace. Oseh Shalom can be found on page 62 if you wish to follow along with Sarah and Sam.
Descend on us, and the world will say Amen. 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 Descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on
Shabbat
Oh,
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for bringing a little more shalom.
And thank you
for
so
bringing
much
a
to
little more
Liav
shalom.
and to Jeff for contributing as much as they do. It wouldn't be the same without the beautiful musicians that we have with us here at Stephen Weiss.
No, it would not. And it wouldn't be the same without you or without you. You brought shalom to us. So Shema Yisrael, listen to the lessons and the love that the world has to offer in this week, and we'll make a little more shalom together. Shabbat Shalom.